Okay, let's talk about one of my favorite directors, if not my favorite, Tim Burton. I always felt very close to him in a way. I'm kind of a loner, I was the weird kid, I always had interest in horror, so you know. I mean, my favorite cartoons as a kid were Tales from St. Patrick's Graveyard, which is a French cartoon, The Addams Family, The Nightmare Before Christmas, and Soul Eater, if I want to name an anime. So you can guess why I like Tim Burton's work so much, but enough about me, let's talk about him. Timothy Walter Burton was born on the 25th of August 1958 in Burbank, California, in the US. He is the eldest son of William Reed Bill Burton and Jean Burton. His dad, Bill, used to be a pro baseball player and then went to work at an amusement park, and his mom used to own a shop where everything she sold was cat-themed. So the Burtons used to live in Burbank, and that's where Tim grew up. Burbank, for those of you who don't know, is basically the back garden of Hollywood. And in the 60s, it was a residential neighborhood, so a lot of houses very similar to one another, so not very creative. And for Tim, it was an absolute nightmare to live there. Being shy and a bit weird made it somewhat difficult for Tim to make friends. I mean, it kind of makes sense that it's going to be difficult for you to make friends when one of your favorite hobbies is to walk through graveyards. And on top of that, Tim used to scare his neighbor's kid by telling them that aliens were going to invade Earth. I mean, it is pretty funny. So, very early in his life, he finds an interest in monsters and creatures of the night. While you may have watched Bambi or The Lion King or Dumbo as you were growing up, he used to watch Frankenstein and Godzilla. And if you were watching horror movies in the 60s or 70s, obviously you're gonna end up watching Harryhausen's work or Vincent Prince's work, and that's exactly what happened for Tim, and he fell in love with their work. I mean, he just falls in love with cinema in general, and he ends up making movies very early in his life. By the time he gets 12, he leaves his household to go and live with his grandmother. In 1976, he joins the California Institute of the Arts, Cal Arts for short, where not only will he get a scholarship, but also he'll manage to grab Disney's attention with his graduation film, Stalk of the Celery Monster, which you can see on YouTube, by the way. So naturally, he gets a job at Disney, and you might tell yourself, whoa, that's such a good opportunity. The thing is, when he joins, the studio is in a crisis. I don't want to dive too deep into that because I'll make a video about the studio as a whole in the future, but what you have to know is that Walt Disney had recently passed at this point. And so the studio is split into two groups. On one hand, you have people who want to follow Walt Disney's legacy, and on the other, you have the people who want to make a change. So a 21-year-old Tim Burton gets there and immediately starts working on a different few projects. The Fox and the Hound, Tron, The Black Cauldron, all great projects, but the thing is, he doesn't really appreciate working on those simply because they are not his style. And even though the first experience at Disney isn't the best, I mean, you're still working at Disney, and if you're working at Disney, you're gonna get opportunities, and 3 years later, in '82, that's exactly what he gets. He gets a $60,000 budget to make his first Disney short film, Vincent. So the story is about a young kid named Vincent who fantasizes about being his hero, Vincent Price. There might be a small parallel to be drawn from Tim Burton's life to Vincent's life, I don't know. And you know what? For a first movie, it's an absolute success. He gets 3 prizes for his movie, and not only that, but the cherry on top, Vincent Price voices Vincent.
Vincent Malloy is 7 years old. He's always polite and does what he's told.
We have to remember that Vincent Price is Tim Burton's hero. He makes a movie about him, and the guy voices the character for his first movie. So it's a wonderful start, immediately followed by a flop. But I mean, honestly, this one isn't on him. He made a Japanese version of Hansel and Gretel, and the ending scene is a kung fu fight between Hansel and Gretel and the witch. You heard me right. And honestly, it's genuinely amazing. And you can watch it on YouTube, so just go and watch it on YouTube. Link in the description. The thing is, they aired it once on Disney Channel at 10:30 p.m. So basically, they air the movie on a kids' TV channel at a time where kids are not watching TV anymore and are sleeping. Very smart move from Disney. Very smart. The movie had so little viewers and was so quickly discarded that people started doubting it ever existed. But don't worry, it has been published a few times since, and you can find it on YouTube as well. Link in the description. Same year, 82, that's when he wrote the poem for The Nightmare Before Christmas, but he doesn't start working on it immediately. First, he focuses on a different project called Frankenweenie. No, not this one. This one. And this movie costs Tim his career at Disney. And you're wondering why? Well, give me a second. I'm getting there. God. Gen Z, wow! The issue is that the movie gets restricted to kids under 12 years old, and who watched Disney movie at the time? Kids under 12 years old. And so Disney fires Tim because they say that he just wasted time and money working on a project that nobody's ever gonna see. And I'm sorry, but the audacity from Disney to fire a guy because he made a movie that nobody's gonna watch after what they did to Hansel and Gretel? I couldn't. I couldn't. Sure, the movie gets him fired, but it also gives him his next opportunity with Warner Bros. Paul Rubens, who at that time was super popular for his character, Pee Wee Herman, saw Pee Wee Herman? What? Who the hell names their character Pee Wee? I'm not making a joke on this one. Whatever. Saw Frankenweenie and wanted Burton to direct his movie for Pee Wee. And so Pee Wee and so this guy gets a movie, and that's not why I'm talking about it. The movie is a success, that's great, but the reason I'm mentioning it is because this is the first time that Danny Elfman and Tim Burton are working together on a movie. And if you don't know who Danny Elfman is, he basically is the music producer for Burton for almost all of his movies, like except 3 of them. And the way they met is kind of cute. Tim used to go to clubs and listen to a group, Oingo Boingo. I can't fucking do it with these names. Who picks such names? So Danny Elfman has a group, Burton goes and listens to this group, he loves the group, he loves Danny, and they end up working together. It's the story of Pee Wee and Oingo Boingo, what the fuck is this? After this movie, Burton directed an episode for a show named Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which was making a renewal, and that's where he met Michael McDowell, who he will end up working with on his next big project, Beetlejuice. And Beetlejuice is super refreshing for Tim Burton because finally he gets a green light to do whatever the hell he wants, and he manages to build a universe that really resembles him for once. On top of that, he works with Michael Keaton for the first time, whom he'll work with in the future again. During previews of the movie, the execs were not really happy with the results, and I think they were not really fan of Tim Burton's vibe. And I mean, if you keep calling the guy and tell him, hey, can you make a movie that represents you? And the guy does exactly that, and then you're not happy with the results, maybe stop calling the guy? I don't know. You can go and get a cookie cutter director and let the other ones be creative, for God's sake. Anyway, they want him to change a bunch of things. He refuses. The movie is an absolute success. It even gets an Oscar. Hopla. And the movie is so good, in fact, that they make a spin-off series because now the execs are so happy with the money they are making. And Warner's, being super happy with the results of Burton's work, decide to give him a bigger project, Batman. And what a mess did he get himself into? As soon as the cast is announced, all hell broke loose. First, the Joker, played by Jack Nicholson. People seem to be fine with that. And second, Batman, played by Michael Keaton. Seems fine to me, but people went absolutely feral. The idea that Keaton, a not very muscular guy who's not used to making superhero movies and is more of a comic, could play Batman? I'm mad. I guess that's how people were in front of the desk? I don't know. No, I mean, I do know what happened. The studio received calls, death threats, all the bells and whistles, and it got to a point where Warner Brothers' stock plummeted just due to the possible cast of the movie. And all of that because of a casting decision. The movie wasn't even out yet. And on top of that, Burton got banned for life from Comic-Con. I mean, yeah, sure, they lifted the ban afterwards, but still, all that from a decision of casting. What, I mean, the level of gatekeeping here, oh my god. So the execs, being totally scared, pussy, decided to change the story, the characters, everything. But Burton wasn't having any of it and was adamant that Keaton had to play the role, and so he stayed. And guess what? The movie is an absolute success. One of the biggest hits in the box office, critics praised Nicholson and Keaton, and the movie got the Academy Award for Best Art Direction. So what's the moral of the story? If we haven't seen the movie, we shut the fuck up and let Tim Burton cook. The movie is a success, but Burton is tired from this. He wants to go back to a smaller movie that resembles him a lot more. So in 1990, while Warner Brothers is begging for him to continue working on Batman, he decides to go with Fox and work on Edward Scissorhands. And just like Vincent, he's making a movie about him and his life. He lets Caroline Thompson work on the script, who he will work again in the future for Nightmare. And this movie, being super personal for Tim Burton, is an opportunity for him to work with his favorite actor, Vincent Price. And this is going to be the last role that Price will ever play in his life. We'll find the usual crew that Tim's love to work with, Winona Ryder and Downey Elfman for instance, but this movie marks the first collaboration with Johnny Depp. The movie is loved by everyone, whether it's critics, fans or random people, and honestly it's one of my favorites from Tim Burton. So he makes this wonderful movie, but meanwhile Warner Brothers is still hitting the DMs begging for another Batman. And in '91 that's when he finally caves in and goes for the second movie. But this time there's no fooling around for Burton. You want me? You get me, okay? So, Burton's Batman, we are keeping Keaton on this one, but unfortunately Nicholson won't be here because, well, the Joker won't be in the movie. Instead, we get Danny DeVito's Penguin, which was amazing, but also Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Yeah. And if you know, you know. Her character is the reason why Tim Burton accepted to make the movie. I see you, you naughty little Tim. This time, you can't miss that it's a Burton production. The movie is a lot darker, a lot more serious. It talks about the psyche of the characters, and in my opinion, it's a lot better. And once again, the movie is an absolute success. But this time, people who are complaining are the parents, because they're saying that the movie is absolutely too dark for their kids. And you know what? F them kids. To keep up the streak on studios coming back after shitting on his work, next in line is Disney. And since you follow this channel, you already know what movie he's gonna make when he comes back to Disney. It's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And that's all I'm gonna say about this movie because I made a video already, and if you haven't seen it already, what are you doing? So skip to '94 and Burton is working on a new production called Ed Wood. It's about Edward David Wood Jr., who is considered to be the worst director of all time. Kinda harsh. This is one of the only movies where Danny Elfman didn't produce the music because beforehand they had some beef regarding Nightmare Before Christmas. But if you had seen the video, you would have known already and I wouldn't have to repeat myself. What up? The movie comes out, it's appreciated by the critics and the public, but it's not a money-making machine by any means. At the end of the day, the movie is just a passion project for Burton, and you can really tell the difference between a movie like this one where he can express himself freely and one where he has to fit in a case and a mold. Not that I don't want to talk about every small project he's ever worked on, but I've been talking for a while now and we still have a lot to mention, so let's skip a few smaller projects and go to the big one, Mars Attack. So, the movie is based on a card game with aliens and dinosaurs, which is based. This movie is very different from what he usually makes, but you can still tell that it's one of his just because of their humor. The movie had one big issue, it came out 5 months after Independence Day, and both movies having the same theme, but one being made into a blockbuster, well, one got all the viewers. Which I think is a shame, like, just because you had some chocolate cake, you're not gonna get a slice of lemon tart? Like, what's the logic here? You don't need to be watching your line. I mean, I sure do, but you don't. So the movie was a flop in the US, but you know where it wasn't? Here, baby, in France! Cocorico, motherfuckers! Fuck the US, vive la baguette! So, after another box office flop, Burton goes back to making smaller movies that resonates more with him. Are you starting to see a pattern here? He still tried working on a Superman movie with Nicolas Cage, which unfortunately was cancelled, but I mean, Nicolas Cage in a Tim Burton's Superman movie? that seemed incredible. The issue, apparently, is that people working on the project had different visions of what it had to be, and so it led to absolutely nothing and was just 1 year of wasted time. A shame, honestly, but anyway. So, what were we saying again? Ah, yeah, small projects. He publishes his poetry book titled The Melancholy Death of the Oyster Boy and Other Stories. And honestly, it's a nice read. It's super short poems, it's stories about kids who have useless powers or just some weird mutations, and it's just Tim Burton in all of his glory, you know? Talking about kids who are shy, outcasts, weird. I mean, just him talking about himself. On a funnier note, he directed an ad for Hollywood chewing gum, which I can only describe as a bit odd in it. I mean, it's not very surprising from him, he's very creative, and wherever he goes, he always has pens on him so that he can draw, whether it's on his notebook or on a napkin or whatever. But he writes and draws all the time. After that, he gets the chance to adapt a poem from Edgar Allan Poe, who, by the way, is his favorite writer, and mine too. And the poem he had the chance to work on was The Fall of the House of Usher, but unfortunately he never did it. But you can find on Netflix a series directed by Mike Flanagan that I quite liked, honestly. So instead, he worked on Sleepy Hollow, which is 1,000,000,000% Tim Burton coded. It's his interpretation of the Headless Cavalier, but it's very different from the original city, and for the better, I think. And I mean, not only do we have Christopher Walken, but we also have Christopher Lee. I mean, come on! Burton loves it. The critic love it. The public love it. I love it. You love it. You love it. You love it. You love it. Everybody loves it. And obviously, the movie gets an Oscar for Best Artistic Direction. What else do you want? So it's a perfect way for Tim Burton to wrap the 20th century and come into the 21st ready to fight. And right off the bat, he gets a big project, Planet of the Apes. He is excited to work on the project, which I cannot grasp why, since the guy has a phobia of chimpanzees. Like, what are you doing? You are afraid of monkeys. What is the name of the movie? Planet of the Apes. Apes. Monkeys. Monkeys, apes. Apes, monkeys. For some god unknown reasons, he still takes on the movie. Unfortunately, even though the century starts off with a big project, the early 2000s are going to be marked by the loss of both of his parents within 3 years. So naturally, he gets completely detached from the movie. He just goes through the motion, gets the movie done, and that's it. Well, since he was grieving, you can guess that he was absolutely not in a creative state. The movie doesn't resemble him, it's just another blockbuster. It actually works, but it's not Tim Burton's. At least, on set, he gets to meet the one who's gonna be his future wife, Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, I'm saying wife, but we're not even really sure about it. Like, they have 2 kids together, and when they were separated, Bonham Carter talked about a divorce, but they were never officially engaged, so I don't really know. Oh, and fun fact, Johnny Depp is the godfather of Tim's eldest son. So the 2 of them are not just close on set, but they are like family. Once again, Burton worked on a big production, didn't like it, so what is his next move? So, he adapted Big Fish into a screenplay, and the core themes of the story being the loss of loved ones and how to deal with this, allowed Tim to express and work on his own losses. The movie is loved by the critics, it gets 4 Golden Globe nominations, 1 Academy Award nomination, and it's just a nice way for Tim to put closure on this chapter of his life. I feel it's time we pick up the pace, so ladies and gentlemen, for the next 5 movies, you better strap onto your chairs. 3, 2, 1, let's go! 2005 Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, 476 million box office, 15 awards. 2005 Coles Bride, 170 million box office, 9 awards. 2007 Sweeney Todd, 153 million in box office, 34 awards. 2010 Alice in Wonderland, $1 billion and 35 awards. Give me a minute. After a few years of absolute bangers, we get a few years of, well, I don't really know how to describe them. Some good movies, some not so good movies. On one hand, we have Dark Shadows, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Killer, and Dumbo that are meh. And on the other hand, we have Frank and Weenie, Big Eyes, and Miss Peregrine, so And after a little break, he came back and made Wednesday. And I mean, do I really have to talk about how big of a success it is? A series thanks to which he's gonna get to meet another person that he's gonna add to his crew of people he loves to work with, Jenna Ortega. Jenna was also in the movie You're Not Catching Me, I'm not saying it. Movie that I was very happy to see, honestly. And even more recently, he's worked on season 2 of Wednesday. That got him the opportunity to work with Lady Gaga for the first time, and apparently he's adding her to his roster of people he loves to work with now. I mean, they are working on a secret project together right now. I don't know what it is, because it's secret, but sounds cool. I mean, all in all, Tim Burton is a worldwide known director now. He is clearly accomplished, and even though he doesn't like to say it, he's left his mark on cinema. Most importantly for me, I feel like he gave a voice to the weirdos, the nerds, the loners, the outcasts, and the shy kids. He really showed that it's okay to be weird, it's okay to be you, I mean. You can love horror, you can fall asleep listening to horror stories and creepy stories, it's fine, you can be you at the end of the day. And I always felt very represented by him as a kid, and I feel like it's still the case to this day. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. And that's almost all I had to say regarding Tim Burton. If you still want a few more facts, you can go and check on my Instagram. Thank you for watching the video, please let me know if you enjoyed it, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week. Bye!